Hi guys, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we shall look at the loan amortization schedule, and we looked at how we can come up with different compounding bases in our previous video. In case you have not watched it, we still have it on this channel. You can go to this playlist and check it out, because we shall carry forward the knowledge into this working of today. Now, we have a loan amount that is equaling to 185,400,000 US dollars. Now, before we go ahead, we'll look at some of the parts that will make our schedule more professional. We need a heading. That's why I have put here USA loan amortization schedule. But in case you don't want this, you can always remove it, and you just remain with loan amortization schedule. Then you need the input area, where you will summarize the loan details, the loan amount, the annual interest rate that is charged, then the loan periods, that is the number of years that you should have successfully serviced your loan like in full. And then we have the number of payments that you have to make per year, depending on the compounding basis that is given to you. It can be yearly, it can be semi-annually, it can be quarterly, or it can be monthly. Then you have the start date, or the contract date, when the loan starts counting. Then we have the output area, where we get the loan summary of the end par. The end par is the number of periods, the total number of periods that we take to pay the loan. And then we have the computation area, where we shall come up with the integration of the loan details, where we have the periods, we have the payment date, the beginning amount, we have the IPMT, which is the annuity. Then we have some extra payment that can also be made alongside with the loan, and we have the total payment, which is going to be a summation of IPMT and extra payment. And then we have the interest amount, the principal, IPMT. This is the principal. I think the right spelling is this one, the one that has the right meaning. I think it's that one. And then we have the ending balance. Great. Now, when we have this, we go back to the input area and we see the loan summary. The loan amount, which is this 185 million. The loan amount is 185,400,000 US dollars. The annual interest rate is 9%. The loan period is 10 years. The number of payment 2. Then the month 6. The start date is 1st March 2022. Now, the loan period 10 years. The number of payment per year 2. Then the month 6. Now, we make 2 payments in a year, and then we pay after every 6 months. That means the loan is compounded semi-annually. To get more understanding of this, you go back to our subsequent video and you watch our video on compounding if you're not yet okay up to that point. Now, the first thing that we fill up is in the output area, and having come up with our loan summary in the output area, now we can go to the in the input area. Now we can go to the output area and we come up with the end par. Now the end par is the total number of period that it takes us to pay the loan fully. How do we get it? So let's use a formula. We say equal sign. You come and click on the cell that has the loan period in years. You multiply with the number of payment that you make in a year, right? And you say enter. You have that. So the total number of period that you would take to make the whole payment relating to the loan is 20 times, or 20 periods in total. After doing that, we come here under the column that has period, and we fill up from number 1 up to from period 1 up to period 20 according to the total number of period that we had determined from the output area. So simply we are going to number this up to 20. So what we can simply do is drag this down up to period 20 like that. Well, now we go back and we get the payment date. Now the payment date is when we make the first payment for the first period. It's when we make the first payment, and we shall use a formula to determine this payment date for the first period. So we say equal sign. I want to use the formula bar here so that we are able to follow what I'm doing. So start date, you write the formula date, and you put a bracket. Now when you type date, it will ask you, when you type date, what's the year? So you type year and you put a bracket, then you tap this date on the start date, the cell that has start date here, and then you close the bracket, you put a comma, then shift to month, you write month, you put a bracket, open that bracket, and you click the cell that has start date, you close that bracket, you add the month that you make the payment of the month after which you make the payment. So we make the payment after every 6 months. So we click the cell that has month, we put comma, and then we type day, we open the bracket, we tap on the cell that has start date, and we close the bracket. I repeat, you click on equal sign, then you say date like I've done here, you open bracket, you type here, then you open bracket, you come and tap on the cell that has the start date, you put comma, you write month again, you open bracket, you come and click on the cell that has start date, then you add the 6 months, because we make the payment after 6 months. Why? Because the loan is compounded semi-annually. You put a comma, you type day, after that you open the bracket, you come and tap on the cell that has start date, and then you close the bracket and you hit enter. Now this is the date upon which we make the first payment, because we make payment after every 6 months, right? The loan starts on 1st March 2022. The first payment we make after 6 months is on 1st September 2022. If you count, we'll have 6 months in between this. Now let's go to the second period to determine the payment date in the second period. You say equal sign. I'll go back to the formula bar and help us. You write date, open the bracket, you type. Now this time around you're going to tap the cell that has the payment date in period 1, right? So we tap on the cell that has the payment date in period 1. Sorry, we tap date, then we put year, sorry, and then we tap on the cell that has the date in the year in period 1, that one. We close that bracket, we put a comma, it will tell us now enter the month. So we type month, and then after that we tap on the cell that has the that has the date in period 1, this one, and then we close that bracket and we say plus the 6 months after which we make the payment. Now remember, here we shall fix the month that we have added, right? The 6 month, the cell that has 6 months in the second period. Here we are going to fix it by pressing Fn, or by pressing Fn and F4, right? You either press F4 alone, or you press a combination of Fn and F4. Since I'm using a Chromebook and I don't have those functions, I'm going to put them manually. That is by just putting the $sign here, and then I put comma, and you type the day, you open the bracket, you tap on the cell that has date, payment date in period 1. You close the bracket and you'll be good to go, right? So the only thing that has changed here is that we have used the date in the first period, right? To determine the date in the second period, we have used the date in the first period, and we have, when we added the 6 month, this one, we only made it fixed by putting excuse me, by putting the dollar sign, or by pressing FN, F4, or by pressing F4, and then the rest of the thing remains the same. We hit enter, and that is our payment, 1st March. Now when you reach here, you just bring the cursor to the lower side of your cell. When you see that sign of the cross, you just double tap it, or you can just drag it down to the last period, that is period 20. Everything will be auto-filled. So I'm just going to double tap it or double click, and it is filled up down to period 20, just as you can see there. Great. We now go to the beginning amount. The rest of the thing will be very easy for us. We now go to the beginning amount, and we say here equal sign, and you tap on the loan amount that was given to us. Right there, you say enter. And to get the PMT, we shall use a formula, say equal sign. I come back to the formula bar and I type PMT, open the bracket. It will ask me for the rate. Now pay attention to this. Every time it asks you for the rate, right? The rate. You're going to click on the cell that has the rate, right? The annual interest rate. This one. But you make sure you fix it. I've already told you what you do. You press FN, F4, or F4 alone. And if you're using a device that cannot do any of those, you can fix it manually by just putting the dollar sign the way I have done it here, and then you come back here. It is asking the rate. Now this rate, you make sure you divide it by the number of payments that you have to make per year, and the total number of payment we make per year, there are 2 payments in a year. We also fix that to make sure it doesn't change. That is the essence of fixing it. It's the essence of fixing it. Now after doing that, you put a comma. It asks you for the number of periods. The number of periods are the total number of periods that we have gotten here, called the NPAR. So we click on that cell. Since it's not going to change, we also fix it, right? We also fix it, FN F4, or by pressing F4. Great. You put a comma. It asks you for the present value. Now when they ask you for the present value, make sure you put a negative sign. You put a negative sign for you to get a positive value. Now the present value is the total amount of loan that was given to you. This one, the loan amount. You make sure you also fix that, since it will not change, it will keep constant. And then you close your bracket and you hit enter. Great. So this is our PMT. We can just reduce the decimal, the number of decimal places. So this amount will not change. Immediately we have done this, we can also put this very amount here in our output area by saying equal sign. We come and copy this amount. We hit enter. Since it will not change, it will be the same figure. And then for extra payment, in case you have been given some extra payment, you also punch it in the respective period. They can say each month, maybe the company decides to add an extra payment of $20. You punch it here, but since we have not been given any, we just leave it. So how do we get the total payment? We get the total payment by saying equal sign PMT plus the extra payment. So total payment is the summation of the PMT and extra payment. PMT is the annuity, so don't confuse the two. PMT is the annuity. Now The interest payment, we shall also use a formula. We're going to say equal sign IPMT. I've put it in bracket for you to see it so that you don't forget. PMT, interest is IPMT. They're saying that IPMT, payment on interest for an investment. Great. So we come here to the formula bar, and the first thing we have to get is the rate. Now every time you see the rate, you must divide it with the number of payment. Don't forget that. So we come and click on the cell that has annual interest rate. We fix it. And we divide it by the number of payment per year, which is 2, right? It is 2. And we also fix it just like we have done before. We come back here and we looked for the next thing, the period. Now we put the comma, it asks us for the period. Now we come and click the cell that has period 1. We put a comma. We're not going to fix the period because it will keep changing. It will keep changing till it reaches this last period, that is period 20. So the number of periods is the n per number of periods, which is 20. Now this one we fix it because it will not change, like that. Then the present value, you put a comma. Present value is the total amount of loan, but remember you first put a negative and then you click the cell that has the loan amount. That is our present value. It's the amount we have obtained presently. So with that, you just close your bracket, you hit enter, and that is what you got. Then the principal amount, we shall also use a formula. That one is equal sign IPMT, the principal, the payment on the principal of an investment. So we open the bracket, come back to the formula bar so that we can follow everything together. So what does it want first? It wants the rate. Now every time you have the rate, you divide it with the number of payment. So our rate is this one, annual interest rate. We fix that. We divide it with the number of payment, that is number of payment per year. We also fix it. The number of payment, we also fix it, and put a comma. It asks for the next one, period. Come and click on period 1. We don't fix it because it will keep changing. And a comma, number of payment per period, number of periods, that is the n per. Click on the cell that has n per. You fix it because it will not change. And then you put a comma. That is asking you for the present value. Every time they ask you for present value, you put a negative first, and then you click on the cell that has total loan amount. That is the loan amount. You also fix it because it will not change, right? Then close the bracket, you hit enter. That is what you have. Now the ending balance is gotten by subtracting the principal amount from the beginning amount. So you tap the beginning amount first minus the principal. You hit enter. Now what is your for us to get the beginning amount for period 2, we're going to say equal sign. You tap what is the ending balance in period 1 becomes the opening balance or the beginning balance in period 2. So we come and click on the ending balance in period 1. Say equal sign PMT. This formula, you just copy them down. You click on the cell that has PMT in period 1 and you just drag it down to period 2, right, like that. Payment, in case we had extra payment in period 2, we would also incorporate it there. We would punch it in there. But since we don't have, we are assuming that we don't have any extra payment. Total payment, we just drag it down. Interest payment, you just bring it, it's a formula, you just drag it down as well. Principal payment, the same thing, it's a formula, you just drag it down. Ending balance, we're going to say equal sign the beginning balance minus the principal amount. like that. Now when you reach this level, you just highlight from the beginning balance all the way to ending balance. When you reach there, you look at this icon that changes to sign of a cross, a black cross, right? Then you just double click. Everything will autofill, and you make sure you get a 0 in period 20. This 0, this is what shows that you have done your amortization well, this 0. Alright, so that is it, guys. What you are left with now is just getting the total interest. And how do we get that? We just say equal sign, and you say sum, open bracket, you come and highlight from interest in the first period up to the one in the period 20, and you just hit enter, and then you will be able to see the total interest punched here. That is the total interest that you have to pay. Great. How about we say that that's the end of it for today, and in case you have not understood anything, you can go to the comment section and you ask. We'll be able to help you. But basically, this is how you come up with a very simple loan amortization schedule that will help your organization know how much you're supposed to pay in a month, how much you're supposed to pay in each period that your loan is due. You're able to understand how much interest you're supposed to pay and how much you're supposed to pay as your annuity, that is your PMT and all that. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for being with us. Please like, subscribe to this channel, and make sure that you're always available to watch all the videos that we post here, and you can only get access to that when you turn on our notification bell, so that you understand or you are notified when our video is posted. Until then, see you.